Dr. Minji Park stared at the black mass floating in the containment chamber. The lights in the medical bay of the starship UES Mercy were bright, but they seemed to bend away from the strange thing before her. For 15 years, she had worked, with her healing nanites, tiny machines that fixed broken bodies. But she had never seen anything like this. "Doctor, you should step back," said Captain Jiwoo, his face tight with worry. 3 crew members are already in sickbay after being near it. Minji didn't move. Her dark eyes remained fixed on the shifting blob. It wasn't solid or liquid, more like living smoke that pulled light into itself. The containment field's blue glow reflected off her white medical coat as she leaned closer. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It's dangerous," corrected Security Officer Hana, who stood by the door with her hand on her weapon. "The sensors say it's putting out some kind of disease. We should space it now." The thing they found drifting near the dead planet had no name in any database. The rescue team had brought it aboard thinking it was a survivor from the planet. Now the crew called it the Plague Bringer. Minji's fingers moved quickly over her tablet, reading the scans. "It's not just carrying a disease," she said slowly. "I think it is a disease, a living one." The black mass shifted, forming shapes that almost looked like organs before dissolving again. It moved like it was in pain. "Has it shown any signs of intelligence?" Minji asked. Captain Jiwoo frowned. "None. We can't even tell if it's alive by any standard we understand." As if hearing him, the mass suddenly stretched toward the containment field where Minji stood. A thin black tentacle of darkness reached out, stopping at the energy barrier between them. Where it touched, small bits of black mist seemed to float off, dying in the air. Minji didn't jump back like the others. Instead, she watched with wonder as the tendril moved left and right as if searching for something. "It knows we're here," she said. "It's responding to us." "Dr. Park, please step away from the field," Captain Jiwoo ordered, his voice harder now. Before she could reply, a strange sound filled the room, like static mixed with the low groan of metal bending. It took Minji a moment to realize it was coming through the ship's comm system. "Leave me to die." Everyone froze. The words were broken and strange, but clear. "I am ending. It can talk," whispered Hana, her weapon now drawn. Minji stepped closer to the field, ignoring the captain's warning hand. "Who are you?" she asked the dark mass. The mass pulled back its tendril, seeming to curl in on itself. The static voice came again. "No. Who? What? Destroyer. End of cycles." Minji turned to the captain. "It's dying, and it knows it." "Good," said Engineer Doyen as he entered the lab, carrying more scanning equipment. "That thing killed everyone on the planet below. The surface is covered in some kind of necrotic matter that matches its signature. Nothing but death down there." Minji's mind raced. She was a doctor. She fixed things, healed them. It was her life's work. The nanites she had created could repair almost anything with living cells. Could they work on this being? "I want to. Try to help it," she said suddenly. The room fell silent. "Absolutely not," Captain Jiwoo said firmly. "It's too dangerous. We don't know what it is or what it could do to the ship." "It's in pain," Minji argued. "And it's intelligent. We can't just let it die without trying." "Why not?" asked Hana. "It just said it's a destroyer. It killed a whole planet." Minji looked back at the shifting mass. "Maybe. Or maybe something else happened. We don't know its story yet." She picked up a small silver case from her medical table. Inside were her latest nanites, microscopic robots programmed to find damage in living tissue and repair it. They had saved thousands of lives across dozens of species. "My nanites can analyze its structure without harming it," she explained. "They'll just send back information. Then we'll know more about what we're dealing with." Captain Jiwoo hesitated, then nodded once. "Analysis only. No intervention without my direct approval." Minji smiled. "Thank you, Captain." She turned to the control panel and programmed a small batch of nanites, then sent them through a specialized port in the containment field. The tiny machines, invisible to the naked eye, floated toward the black mass. As soon as they made contact, the creature shuddered violently. The lights in the lab flickered and alarm warnings flashed on the monitors. "What's happening?" demanded the captain. Minji stared at her tablet as data poured in. "It's incredible. The nanites are sending back readings unlike anything I've ever seen. This entity isn't just a disease, it's made up of billions of microscopic organisms all working together. Like a colony, but with one mind." The black mass stretched out again, this time forming something that almost looked like a face, a twisted, flowing face of shadows. "Stop," it said, the voice clearer now. "Your little machines burn." Minji's eyes widened. "The nanites are healing small parts of its structure. They're fixing it." "No. Fix," the creature said. "Let end. Must end." "Why?" Minji asked, stepping even closer to the field. "Why must you end?" The shadow face seemed to look right at her. "Broken, changed. Wrong now. Bring only death. Not purpose." Behind her, Doyen muttered, "It admits it only brings death. We should destroy it." But Minji wasn't listening to him. She was watching small blue lights appear within the black mass, her nanites successfully repairing tiny sections of the creature. "Get your machines out," the creature said, its voice rising with what sounded like pain. "No heal. Let die." Captain Jiwoo put his hand on Minji's shoulder. "Doctor, it doesn't want your help." "It's afraid," Minji said softly. "Something happened to it. Changed it. It thinks it can only destroy now." She looked up at the captain, her eyes firm with determination. "I can fix it, I know I can." "I gave you permission for analysis only," he reminded her. "And now we have the analysis," she replied. "It's sick, and I'm a doctor. Helping the sick is what I do." The mass twisted violently, pressing against the containment field. "Stop!" it thundered through the comms. "Human, I beg, let me die, must die." Minji shook her head, already preparing more advanced nanites. "I can't do that," she said simply. "I won't let go." 3 days passed. Dr. Minji Park barely left the lab. She slept on a small cot in the corner, eating only when someone brought her food. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but they still shone with excitement as she studied the data from her nanites. "The creature told us its name," she said when Captain Jiwoo came to check on her. "It calls itself Doksuri." "Doksuri," the captain repeated. "And have you learned why Doksuri killed that planet?" Minji shook her head. "It's more complicated than that. The nanites are sending back amazing information. Doksuri is very old, maybe millions of years old. Its kind move between star systems, breaking down dead matter." "Like space garbage collectors?" asked Engineer Doyen, who had joined the captain. "More like recyclers," Minji explained. "They turn dead things back into basic elements that can be used again. They're part of the natural cycle of the universe." The dark mass in the containment field had changed. Small blue spots now glowed within it, where the nanites had repaired damaged areas. But the creature still looked in pain, its form constantly shifting. "If they're natural recyclers, why did it kill everything on that planet?" Captain Jiwoo asked. Minji pointed to her screen. "Because Doksuri is sick. Something infected it. Another kind of disease that changed how it works. Now instead of breaking down only dead matter, it destroys living things too." "My purpose twisted." Doksuri's voice crackled through the comms. It had gotten better at speaking over the last few days. "I bring wrong death now. Not balance, only destruction." Captain Jiwoo frowned. "It's admitted it's dangerous. It's begging us to destroy it. I think we should listen." Minji stood up, straight, her tired face suddenly fierce. "I took an oath to heal, Captain, any patient, any species. I don't give up just because it's hard." "This isn't about giving up," the captain argued. "It's about safety, our safety." "The nanites show there's a pattern to the corruption," Minji said, pointing to her tablet. Look at these readings. The bad parts have a different structure. I can target them. And what if your nanites get infected too? Doyen asked. What if they bring that corruption back to you, to us? Minji had thought about this already. They're programmed to destroy themselves if they get infected, and I've made a new batch with better protection. They might not just contain Doksuri's condition, they might fix it. The captain studied her face for a long moment. You really think you can heal this thing? I know I can, Minji said without hesitation, but I need time. Captain Jiwoo sighed. You have 5 days, Doctor. Then we do what Doksuri wants and end this. After they left, Minji went back to the containment field. Doksuri's dark tendrils pressed against the energy barrier, leaving black smears that seemed to move with a life of their own. Why? Help? Doksuri asked. I am. What destroys you? Because that's not all you are, Minji answered, adjusting her controls to send in more nanites. And I think you know it. Cannot be fixed, Doksuri insisted. The corruption? Too deep. Minji worked through the night, testing different nanite programs. By morning, she had made progress. The blue spots inside Doksuri had grown larger, but the creature seemed to be in more pain. Tell me about your kind, Minji said as she monitored the readings. Were there many of you? Once, many, Doksuri replied, its voice less static-filled now. Millions. We moved between stars, breaking down the dead, returning elements to the cosmos. What happened to the others? Some evolved, became different beings. Others died out. Few remain now. Minji leaned closer to the field. And how did you get sick? How did the corruption happen? Doksuri's form twisted into something almost like a face. We found dead world, but not natural death. Poisoned by something else. We tried to recycle, but the poison, it changed us. A meta-plague, Minji murmured. A disease that infects disease carriers. Yes, Doksuri agreed. Changed our function. Made us bring wrong death. Unbalanced. Some of us went mad, began to seek out life, to corrupt it. But not you, Minji said. You tried to stop, didn't you? That's why you were alone when we found you. Tried to isolate, to die, away from life. But you brought me here. Hana entered the lab with breakfast for Minji. She placed the tray down and watched the creature with suspicious eyes. Doctor, the crew is getting nervous, she said quietly. They know what happened to that planet. They're afraid. They don't need to be, Minji insisted. The containment field is holding and Doksuri doesn't want to hurt anyone. It already hurt 3 crew members, Hana reminded her. That was before we understood what it was, Minji said. Before the nanites started healing it. Hana didn't look convinced. Just be careful. Not everything wants to be saved. After Hana left, Minji prepared a new batch of nanites. These were more advanced, programmed to target only the corrupted parts of Doksuri's structure. This might hurt more at first, she warned as she sent them through, but they'll work better. Pain? Doesn't matter, Doksuri said. If you succeed, what then? What becomes of me? Minji hadn't thought that far ahead. I don't know. Maybe you can go back to your natural purpose, help balance things again. Too late. For that? Doksuri said sadly. The corruption has spread too far. Too many worlds. Already lost. Minji stared at the readings from her latest nanites. Something caught her eye. A strange pattern in the corrupted areas. Doksuri, she said, slowly. I don't think this corruption is just harming you. I think it's trying to change you into something else. Something you're not meant to be. The creature's form shuddered. Yes, the final stage of corruption. To make me, like them, a destroyer only. Then we have to work faster, Minji said, her hands flying over the controls. Because I won't let that happen. By the fourth day, half of Doxury's body glowed with blue light. The nanites were working, slowly pushing back the corruption. But for every area they fixed, other parts seemed to grow darker, as if the corruption was fighting back. Minji hadn't slept in 30 hours. She sat on her stool, staring at the readings with burning eyes. The blue areas were stable, but the dark parts were getting more active. Something was wrong. The corruption is adapting, she muttered to herself. It's learning from the nanites. Doxury's voice came through the speakers. Told you, cannot be fixed, the corruption too strong. Minji rubbed her eyes. No, we just need a different approach. She tapped on her tablet, programming new instructions for the nanites. The lab door opened and Captain Jiwoo walked in with Hana and Doyen. Doctor, we need to talk, the captain said firmly. Your 5 days are almost up and the ship's sensors show the containment field is under increasing stress. Minji looked up, her tired face stubborn. I'm making progress. Look at all the blue areas, those parts are healed. But the dark parts are getting worse, Doyen pointed out. The energy readings from them are twice what they were yesterday. Hana stepped closer to Minji. You haven't slept. You're pushing yourself too hard for a creature that wants to die. It only wants to die because it thinks it can't be fixed, Minji argued. But I'm proving that wrong. Captain Jiwoo sighed. Minji, I know you want to save it, but sometimes we have to accept when something is beyond saving. That's not your decision to make, Minji snapped. Then she took a deep breath. I'm sorry, Captain. I'm tired. But please give me 2 more days, I have a new idea. What idea? Asked Doyen. Minji pointed to her screen. The nanites are fighting the corruption, but that's just making it fight back harder. Instead, I want to guide it. Guide? What? Asked Hana. The transformation, Minji explained. Doxury told me that some of its kind evolved into different beings. I think this corruption might be a natural evolution gone wrong. The nanites shouldn't be fighting it. They should be helping it happen the right way. They all stared at her. You want to help it evolve? The captain asked slowly. Into what? I don't know exactly, Minji admitted. But something better than a plague that kills worlds. That sounds dangerous, Hana said. What if it evolves into something worse? My scans show patterns in both the healthy and corrupted areas, Minji said. There's a balance they're trying to reach, but the corruption is pushing too hard in one direction. If the nanites can restore that balance, guide the change instead of fighting it. Captain Jiwoo looked at the contained entity. Doxury seemed to be watching them, its form shifting less wildly than before. What do you think of this, Doxury? The captain asked directly. Do you want Dr. Park to try this new approach? Doxury was silent for a long moment, then, No. Never heard of such a thing. My kind, either stay as we are, or change completely. No middle path. But it could work? Minji pressed. Maybe, Doxury admitted. But a great risk. If wrong, it could make me worse. The captain turned back to Minji. 2 days, he said firmly. But you need to sleep first. 6 hours minimum. Hana will stay with your patient. Minji wanted to argue, but knew he was right. She nodded. Thank you, Captain. I'll be back in 6 hours. When she returned, rested and with fresh clothes, Minji found Hana sitting by the containment field, talking quietly to Doxury. It told me about the worlds it's seen, Hana said when Minji entered. Thousands of them over millions of years. It's not what I expected. Minji smiled. Doxury is full of surprises. She set down her bag and began preparing her new nanites. These were different, programmed not to attack the corruption, but to guide its growth, balance its effects. This will be more invasive, she warned Doxury. The nanites will go deeper into your structure. Will it hurt? Doxury asked. Yes, Minji said honestly. Probably a lot, but it might work where the others failed. Doxury's form stretched toward her. Why try so hard? Why not let me end? Minji's hands paused over her controls. Because every life matters. Because you've existed for millions of years, seen thousands of worlds, and that's worth saving. Because I believe you can be more than what the corruption wants you to be. And if you're wrong, then at least we tried, Minji said simply. Are you ready? The dark mass seemed to gather itself, growing more solid at its center. Ready? Minji activated the new nanites. They glowed brighter than the previous ones, a deep gold color instead of blue. As they entered Doksuri's form, the effect was immediate and violent. The entity convulsed, its form rippling wildly. Black tendrils slashed against the containment field, which flickered dangerously. The ship's alarms began to blare. What's happening? Hana shouted over the noise. Minji's eyes were fixed on her readings. The nanites are working. They're forcing the balance, but the corruption is fighting back. Doksuri's voice thundered through. The ship's systems. Burns, stop. Burning me. Captain Jiwoo rushed into the lab with Doyen. Doctor, the containment field is failing. We need to eject it now. No, Minji shouted. Look at the readings. The golden areas are spreading. It's working. Inside the containment field, Doksuri was transforming. Parts of it glowed gold while others remained dark. The two colors swirled together, fighting for control. The ship shuddered as power fluctuated. Minji. Doksuri's voice was clearer now, but filled with pain. Too much, I cannot bear it, let me go. Tears filled Minji's eyes. I can't, we're so close. An idea struck her. She grabbed a small device from her table, a portable nanite controller. What are you doing? Captain Jiwoo demanded. The nanites need direct guidance, Minji said, strapping the device to her wrist. I can control them better this way. Before anyone could stop her, Minji pressed her hand against the containment field controls. Lower field to 20%, she ordered the computer. Field lowered, the computer replied as the blue barrier dimmed. Minji, no, Hana shouted, but it was too late. Minji thrust her hand through the weakened field, directly into Doksuri's form. The moment Minji's hand touched Doksuri, pain unlike anything she had ever known shot through her body. It felt like every cell was being torn apart and put back together. She couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, couldn't pull away. Minji! Hana shouted, rushing forward, but Captain Jiwoo held her back. Don't touch them, he ordered. You'll be infected too. Inside the containment field, something strange was happening. Minji's hand had sunk deep into Doksuri's form, and golden light spread from the point of contact. The black mass didn't try to pull away. Instead, it seemed to flow around her, enveloping her arm up to the elbow. What's happening to her? Doyen asked, his face pale with fear. Captain Jiwoo checked the ship's sensors. Her vital signs are still strong, but her brain activity is off the charts. It's like they're connecting somehow. Minji couldn't hear them anymore. Her mind was somewhere else, seeing things no human had ever seen. Millions of years of memories flowed into her. Stars being born and dying, planets forming, life growing, evolving, dying, and through it all, Doksuri and its kind moving through the cosmos, breaking down the dead to make way for new life. Then came the corruption, a world poisoned by something ancient and evil. Doksuri and others of its kind trying to clean it, only to be infected themselves. The sick ones turning on the healthy, spreading the corruption. Worlds dying as the corrupted ones fed on them. You ran away, Minji thought, speaking directly to Doksuri's mind now. You tried to isolate yourself. Yes, came the answer, no longer in broken speech but clear and strong. I was too weak to end myself, but I flew far from living worlds so I would harm no one else when the corruption took me fully. Through their connection, Minji could see what was happening on a microscopic level. Her nanites were working, guiding the transformation as she had hoped. But they needed direction, needed her will behind them. Let me help you, she thought to Doksuri. Show me what you were meant to become. A new set of images filled her mind. The natural end of Doksuri's life cycle, not death but transformation. When their kind had recycled enough matter, lived long enough, they were meant to change. to become creators instead of breakers down, to help birth new stars, new worlds. But the corruption had twisted this natural process, trying to turn Doksuri into a destroyer only. Outside the containment field, the crew watched in horror and wonder as both Minji and Doksuri began to glow. The black parts of the entity were shrinking, while the golden areas grew. "Her body temperature is rising," Doyen reported, reading from a scanner. 105, 106, 107 degrees. She can't survive much longer at this rate. "Pull her out," ordered Captain Jiwoo. "We can't," Hana said, her voice shaking. "They're linked, somehow. Look." Minji's body was now floating slightly off the ground, still connected to Doksuri by her arm. The black and gold mass swirled around her, getting brighter by the second. Inside their joined minds, Minji focused all her will on the nanites. "Follow the natural pattern," she commanded them. "Not too fast, not too slow. Balance." The pain was still there, but she pushed past it. She could feel Doksuri's fear and hope mixing with her own determination. "It's too much for you," Doksuri's mind voice warned. "The transformation was meant for my kind, not humans. It will burn you away." "Then I'll burn," Minji thought back. "But I won't let go until you're whole." She pushed harder, directing the nanites to the darkest parts of Doksuri's being. The corruption fought back, sending waves of agony through both of them. But the nanites kept working, kept changing, kept healing. In the lab, alarms blared as the ship's systems went haywire. Lights flickered on and off. The air felt charged with energy. "We need to evacuate this section," Captain Jiwoo said. "Whatever's happening in there is affecting the whole ship." "We can't leave them," Hana protested. "If the ship loses power, we all die," Doyun countered. "The containment field will fail anyway." As they argued, the glow from Minji and Doksuri grew so bright, they had to shield their eyes. The containment field shimmered and then collapsed completely. "Run," shouted the captain. But before they could move, everything went silent. The alarms stopped, the lights steadied, and the blinding glow faded to a soft, pulsing radiance. Where Minji and Doksuri had been, there was now something new. A being of crystal and light, shaped vaguely like a human but taller, its body transparent and filled with swirling golden energy. Within its chest, they could see what looked like Minji, suspended in the light, her eyes closed as if sleeping. The being opened its eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangle on its face. When it spoke, the voice was both Minji's and something else harmonizing together. "It worked," the being said softly. "The transformation is complete." Captain Jiwoo stepped forward cautiously. "Minji, are you in there? Are you alive?" The crystalline head nodded. "I am here, Captain. And so is Doksuri. We are together now." "Can you be separated?" asked Hana, her hand still on her weapon but lowered now. The being considered this. "I don't know. When I reached into Doksuri, our minds connected too deeply. The nanites used both of us to complete the transformation. I don't know if we can be pulled apart now." "Are you in pain?" Doyun asked. "No," the being said, looking down at its glowing hands with wonder. "No pain now. Only purpose." "What purpose?" Captain Jiwoo asked warily. The being smiled, and it was Minji's smile on a face of crystal. "To heal. Not just bodies, but worlds. Doksuri was meant to become a creator, to help bring new life. Now, with my knowledge and the nanites, we can do more." It walked toward them, its feet hovering slightly above the floor. They stepped back, still unsure. "Don't be afraid," the being said. "I would never hurt you. I'm still Minji, just more now." To prove its point, the being reached out, one glowing hand toward a small plant in the corner of the lab. The plant had withered from the energy discharge earlier. As they watched, it straightened, grew greener, and bloomed with small white flowers. "You see?" the being said. "Life, not death. Creation, not destruction. The balance is restored." "Captain," Jiwoo stared at the blooming plant, then back at the crystal being that contained his ship's doctor. Minji, he said slowly. What happens now? The being that had been Doksuri was transformed. No longer a seething mass of plague and corruption, it had become a crystalline entity that emitted soft pulses of healing light. Where it moved, damaged systems repaired themselves. The air seemed cleaner, fresher, and at its core, visible through the translucent crystal, was a perfect replica of Dr. Minji Park, her consciousness preserved within the new being. The nanites didn't just heal it, Medical Officer Sun Woo Kang explained to the stunned crew. They facilitated its proper metamorphosis. Doksuri wasn't meant to be a harbinger of decay forever. Its species evolves, from breaking down matter to creating it anew. Captain Donghyun approached the containment field cautiously. Dr. Park, are you in there? Can you hear me? The crystalline entity pulsed, and Minji's voice resonated from it, different, harmonizing with another tone, but unmistakably hers. I'm here, Captain. We both are. The nanites created a bridge between us, and I couldn't let go, wouldn't let go. And now we understand. Understand what? Hyejin asked, her hand still hovering over the emergency protocols. The cycle, the entity answered. Doksuri's kind aren't just destroyers, they're transformers. They break down the old to make way for the new. But when the meta-plague infected Doksuri, it couldn't complete its cycle. It was stuck in the destruction phase, causing imbalance across entire systems. And now, Donghyun pressed. The entity, Minji Doksuri, raised. What might have been a hand and a small dead plant in the corner of the lab suddenly sprouted new leaves, growing visibly before their eyes. Now we can heal. Not just individual beings, but entire ecosystems. Planets ravaged by war or pollution. Species on the brink of extinction. The entity's light dimmed slightly. But we can't stay here. We need to go where the destruction has been greatest. Taeho stepped forward, his scanner indicating no threat from the entity. The Epsilon Quadrant? The zones hit by the Niquam surge? Yes, the entity confirmed. Those worlds were devastated not by natural disaster, but by the other corrupted ones like Doksuri was. We can restore them now. 1 week later, the UES Mercy released the entity formerly known as the Plague Bringer and Dr. Minji Park into space. The ship's logs recorded Captain Donghyun Seo's final words to them. We named this ship Mercy because we believed in healing against all odds. You've shown us what that truly means, Doctor. Not just patching wounds, but understanding the deeper cycles of life and death, destruction and creation. The Plague Bringer begged you to stop healing it, but you couldn't let go. And because of that, worlds that knew only death will know life again. As the entity accelerated away from the ship, it left a trail of luminescent particles that would later be reported to have remarkable restorative properties wherever they fell. And across the galaxy on worlds thought long dead, new life began to stir.